Our next task is to re-render the left paddle score when the ball goes off the right side of the screen. And yeah, what does that mean? That means that this score here should change to reflect what's going on in the left paddle's score instance variable, but it's not. And the only reason that it's not is because of this blit here. This blit is blitting this image at this rect. And so let's take a closer look at that image. That image is here on line 91, and it is rendered in the very beginning of our program, right? We run main, it renders left score, and it renders it to left paddle.score, whose value at this moment is 0, right? So left score is a surface that contains the letter 0 on it, and this is the only place that we're ever rendering a surface for left score. So then when we drop into the game loop, that's looping, it's always blitting the 0 there, right? So what we want to do to fix this problem is, what we could do is we could just grab this line of code and drop it into our game loop right here, right above our blit. And if we go ahead and do that and we run it, you can see that this is now going to be a 1, and then it's going to be a 2, right? So it's matching what is contained in the score instance variable of the left paddle. And but like, this is a bad place to put it, right? And why do I say it's a bad place to put it? It's just the setup or design of our software here. If we look at it, we have our constant variables here, our imports at the top. We have our class definitions. Each class definition has a constructor with all the variables that are related to that object or to that class. And then we have an update method that contains all of the logic that has to do with the variables that have to do that belong to the class, right? And we have the same thing going on with ball. And then in main we have the variables that we need to run the program, right? Like when height, when white, black, FPS. We have up, left, down, right. So all of these are needed to run our program. And then we have all of our objects being created. So we have our paddles being created and our balls being created. You can see that we also have these font variables being created, but these should also actually be objects that are created. And we will talk about creating a text class, right? You notice that these all contain the same types of variables. So we're going to create a text class, and these are all going to be objects that are created as well, right? So here's where all of our objects should be created. We go into our game loop, right? And the first thing that we're doing is we have the for loop that reads in the input from the user, and then we run update based on those inputs, and then we blit, right? And at the very bottom we're flipping. And so the first time you went through this and you wrote this code, it might have seemed like everything was haphazardly put together on a need basis, right? Oh, I need to do this. Oh, and then I need to do this, and I need. But actually, this is the way that every game is set up. Okay, and so it follows a very strict format, right? And so this line of code here doesn't fit here because this is where we blit, right? This is logic that should be happening throughout our program, right? So we want to cut it out, and we want to put it somewhere here in our update where the logic for the running of our program is. And so you might want to think, like, where should I put it, right? And your first thought might be, well, yeah, I should go in the left paddle update method because it has to do with the left paddle. But then on further thought, like, our logic to see if the ball went off the screen is here in ball, right? So I'm going to put it here in ball just because for me it makes the most sense, right? So then up here in ball, we look in the update method. This is where we detect if it went off the screen. This is where we increment the score, and right after we increment the score, whoa, I think I missed it. Okay, so let me grab it again. And then right after we increment the score, we are going to render the left score, right? But in order to render the left score, we need to have this variable and this variable, which we don't have here in the update method. So we need to pass it in. So then right here on the ball.update, we need to pass in left score, and we also need to pass in font2. Okay, so we need this variable here, and we also need this font2 variable here too. Okay, and then up here in update, I will receive it, and I'll receive left score, and I will receive font2. So then this left score I'm going to use right here, and then I'll run it. And what we're going to see has no L score, huh? Let's see in our update. Left score. Oh no, this shouldn't be left score. It should be left paddle. Oh, I already have the left paddle, don't I? Oh no, hold on. So we're passing in left score and we're passing in font2. So when we come up to update, we have left score and font2. And then yeah, this one here should be the left paddle dot score. And then that's left score or L score, right? So then I run it, and what we see is that we see a change here, but we don't see a change up here, right? And so you might be thinking, why is that? And looking back at our program, what we're doing here in the update is we're passing the content of the left score variable. We're passing the surface, right? We're not passing the left score variable. We're passing the surface, the content of the left score variable. So when it comes up here to update, this is going to contain the surface, and then we're going to re-render that surface and save it in this temporary variable that's created for update that we called L-score. So since L-score is being updated to 1 to contain the number 1 on the surface, this update's gonna finish. We're gonna come back down to here, and this left score variable is still gonna contain the surface that says 0 on it, right? Because again, this L score variable is a local variable to update that is being used by the update to receive the content of left score down in the game loop. So then any changes here to L score don't affect L score over here. I mean left score over here. So we're still blitting the 0 onto the screen. So then, even though it's kind of funky, for now, I guess we could just go ahead and put in the condition, and then we could run render, right? So let me go ahead and grab this, and then I will take away these 2 arguments. I will come down to the bottom, and I will do that if the ball.rect.left is greater than win_h. And then here we're using left paddle, and here we're using left score, and then it will re-render the score when it goes off the screen. And so we are going to fix this awkward situation later, but for now this is going to work. And let's demonstrate it. It was off the screen, and then we got 1 in the console, we got 1 upstairs on the game screen.